Hello everybody, this is Mithril Zenith, and today I wanted to first wish everyone a Merry Christmas. It is not Christmas when I'm recording this, but this is the day that I'm scheduling this to go out. Two notes. One, I wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, so enjoy. Hope you're having a great day. Two, I am going to be beginning a new series focusing on shorts tomorrow. I'm hoping to get all of it uploaded before Engage comes out. That may require some double uploads on the channel. If that's the case, I may or may not be continuing to do weapon reviews while that series is going on, weapon discussions. Or I might do them if something strikes my fancy, and I'll just double upload. It'll be a short and a weapon review on one day. Anyway, without further ado, leave a like, sub to the channel if you enjoy these types of videos, and let's get talking about a weapon that has been in most Fire Emblems in some form or another, the Rapier. Now, the Rapier in Fire Emblem is a classic. Usually it's restricted to the Lord as a preferential weapon, though not all the time. Most of the time it is effective against both armored units and cavalry units. It's kind of the standard that... It became the standard for the main lord, or at least a main lord, if your game has multiple, to get at least one weapon that has that dual effective nature. It's a really good, flexible, versatile tool because of that dual nature, but it also then allows you, one, it encourages you to use your main lord, because then your main lord is good at taking out these sorts of key units, especially because early on in the game they're going to form several of the boss units. They tend to be, especially like armor knights on gates, sometimes a cavalier on a gate. Effective weaponry is pretty good. Also, they tend to have high hit rates, decently improved crit rates, and still somewhat solid damage. One sec, I need to turn this music down. Terran music, you are rocking out a little too hard for my brain. The Rapier itself, as we see, like I said, came in Fire Emblem 1, bonus damage to mounted and armor units. Cannot be repaired. I'm not sure why they made that note, because I didn't know you could... Oh wait, can't be hammered. Okay. But you can buy rapiers. Why would you need to hammer it? Oh well. Mystery of the Emblem, same sort of thing, but, you know, remove that can't be repaired quality, I guess. I guess because it counted as like a perf weapon, they can't repair like perf weapons. I guess maybe you couldn't repair Mercurius as well. I don't know. There was no Rapier in Gaiden, no Rapier in FE4. Thracia comes back, and it's not a perf weapon, it's just a C-rank sword. But Binding Blade, all through, you know, GBA, it's the perf weapon of your main sword lord. Shadow Dragon comes back again for Marth, a new Mystery Emblem again for Marth. Awakening, Lords, Great Lords, and Lodestars. Okay, so, yeah. Marth, Crom, and Lucina, but also only when they're in their Lord classes. So if you reclass them, you can't use the Rapier. They then created a Rapier for Echoes, which grants anti-cavalry and anti-armor, but it's only 3 might, so it's not great. It does give you Subdue, which is pretty nice. I forget where in the game you actually get it, though. And then 3 houses. They do have a Rapier in 3 houses. You can forge it up. It actually becomes quite a good weapon. You get it in the Paralogue with Hanuman and Manuela. And then if you forge it up, you can actually forge it up quite a bit. Yeah, 9 might, 5 weight, 20 crit, 45 uses. It's quite a good forged weapon. And I forget what it requires to forge, but that doesn't necessarily matter. We can quickly go over some of the Rapier variants. You have the Mani Katti for Lyn in FE7, Reginleif for Ephraim in FE8, which is a lance version of Rapier, Wolf Beil for Hector in FE7, that's an axe version. Regal Sword for Ike in Path of Radiance because they decided that, giving Ike a rapier didn't really fit his character, but they still wanted an armored and cavalry effective weapon, and so they gave him the Regal Sword. I didn't open the page for it, but Thani for Micaiah in Radiant Dawn is one of the best spells in the game because it's one of the few spells that has effective damage. So what's the deal with mounted and armored effective damage? Why is it so good? Why are these weapons so good? Why bother making them at all? Well, high hit, equal, sometimes greater than Iron Sword hit. 10 crit, pretty standard. 5 in Valencia, but that can be upgraded to 10 or 15. Really, really lightweight. 1 weight in FE1 and FE3. 3 only goes up to 5 in the GBA, so same as an Iron Sword, but basically equal to or lower than Iron Sword weight. Varying uses. Sometimes it's 20, 25, 28 in Fire Emblem 1, 40 in Sacred Stones and FE7, 40 in Three Houses. Variable durability. Oftentimes you can buy or sell them. In the Blazing Blade, it only has a worth mostly for ranked runs, because if you use this, then your value goes down significantly. Is what it is. Weapon experience also gains 2 sometimes, but 1 at other times. The Rapier is a really good weapon. The Rapier is, early on, a reason to use your Lord. Oftentimes, it's tempting to just kind of not use your Lord at all, just let them, remain in the back where it's safe, and only slowly get to the front to seize whatever seize objective you have. Just clear everything with your Cavaliers, with your Jagan, with, whatever else you have, and then just walk into the objective, because your Lord's your fail condition. I mean, people play mostly like any of the characters as a fail condition, but technically speaking, your Lord is your fail condition. So why risk your Lord in combat? The Rapier is one of the reasons, at least early game, to do it. And because it's relatively low might, it's gonna fall off eventually, so you're encouraged to use it early. It gives good hit, gives some decent crit, gives that good effectiveness, which a lot of your units you won't really have. When you have a Rapier, you'll generally have it as soon as you get the Lord, so you'll have it from like chapter 1, maybe chapter 2 or 3. But at that point in time, most of your other units don't have effective damage. And so the Rapier gives effective damage to your main Lord as a way of saying, hey, you might want to use them as a boss killer. If you do that, they're generally going to get 1 or 2 boss kills worth of experience, which is going to be a couple level ups. And then once they start leveling up, you might say, okay, my Lord's not super weak anymore. They might be able to hold their own in combat, so on and so forth. It's a really well-designed tool to give the player to get them to say, hey, I have something that I can do, and encourages them to overcome their fear of using their main Lord by giving their main Lord a niche that only they can do, at least at the start. And once you start using your main Lord and they level up, then a lot of players will see that as a wasted investment to not continue to use. It is what it is. It works, it's effective, it's efficient. I like it. I think that the Rapier is it's an elegant sword, but it's an elegant solution to that problem of players won't want to use their main Lord, as well as giving the player an option that the game knows, at least for the first chapter, that they'll have access to. As an out, as a way to say, hey, we can give you a stronger boss, but we know that we've given you an effective solution to the boss. And then it starts getting the player to think, okay, I might want to save this and use it only when it's effective instead of you know, just kind of using it on everything, which in some players can trigger hoarding mentality, which can then, you know, they might not want to use a rapier or effective weapons at all ever again, because what if I need it later, and then they'll just never use it. But for a lot of players, it then triggers, I'd say, one step before hoarding mentality, which is like careful use of resources mentality, which is important. Because if you just give them a rapier and say, okay, here you go, a lot of players won't know, well, do I get another one of these? Is this something I should use all the time? And they'll just kind of either use it or not use it, and then, you know, what do you know? But if by giving them a rapier and then immediately giving them, hey, here's what it's good against, then you can say, okay, I'll be on the lookout for more enemies like this to encourage me to use the rapier more. Similar thing with Reginleif, similar thing with Wolf Beil. Those also are just powerful weapons in their own right that are slightly lighter than steel versions, and so with some other bonuses as well, they just tend to be pretty good weapons to use by default. Same with the Katti. It's just a great weapon to use. High damage, high crit, good number of uses. Doesn't have any specific value, so you're not penalized for using it in a ranked run. It's pretty much Lynn's best dedicated weapon. It's kind of like a rapier meets a killing edge, though not quite as much crit as a killing edge. It's good. Reginleif we already talked about, Wolf Beil we already talked about, and Regal Sword. Stat-wise, it's basically just a rapier, but it's not a rapier because Ike doesn't know how to stab, he just knows how to smash. So yeah, there's the rapier. What are your thoughts on this elegant solution to a potential problem of players not knowing, you know, what to do? I guess maybe that's not the problem. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this elegant solution to the boss problem? It's kind of like in Pokemon, where your starter learns their elemental move, and then they give you a boss, your first gym leader, who might be weak to that elemental move. Like, say you pick Squirtle, and then, you know, Brock's your first gym leader. If your Squirtle's level like 8 or 9 or whatever he learns Water Gun at, then you can mop the floor with the gym leader just using Squirtle. Other than that, you're going to have a hard time. That's kind of the concept that I see behind Fire Emblem giving you like an early game Armor Knight boss and then giving you a rapier in an answer to it. Of course, your name also might be Fire Emblem 6, and then you give Roy a rapier, but then it's actually pretty weak, and the boss is really strong and is really on a really strong gate, and then so, hey, you have a hammer, but then you have like 30 hit with the hammer, so good luck, have fun there. I digress, I'm getting off topic. Once again, Merry Christmas. Leave a like down below, sub to the channel if you enjoyed this, and comment down below where you found rapiers to be most useful, and if there's any other weapons you want me to talk about. Until next time, this is Mythro Zenith signing out.